If you're looking to scale your SaaS business, you're likely doing some heads down work on your go-to-market strategy. This is exactly what I'm doing with the SaaS companies that I operate. This is also exactly what the over 100 founders I work with inside of my SaaS go-to-market program is also doing as they are revamping their go-to-market strategy and scaling their SaaS companies. Here's a big question though. If you're working to actually revamp your go-to-market strategy, how do you actually go about it? What are the steps? And what do each phases of the process actually look like? In this episode, as I'm going through this process for one of my own companies, I'm gonna walk you through the 3 steps that I'll be following to revamp my go-to-market strategy and accelerate my own path to that next stage of growth. If you are in that stage, I'll walk you through these steps, and by the end of this video, you'll understand the overall framework that we're all following and exactly how you can go about implementing it. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you grow your SaaS businesses faster with an unstoppable strategy. Now, if you're new to this channel, welcome. I drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches on how to grow your SaaS business faster. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon where you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode with the TK energy. If you're already part of this community, if you're part of my SaaS go-to-market coaching programs, my people, welcome back. It's really awesome to see you over here. About 10 months ago, I started a new SaaS company. We were incubating it because we saw a real market need. Fast forward to today, over the 10-month period, we've taken it to 30K in ARR, and now we're revamping the go-to-market strategy to actually scale it to that next stage of growth. This is the same exact framework that I'm following that over 100 active SaaS founders are now following to actually scale their SaaS companies through my SaaS go-to-market coaching program. And this is also based on the 15 plus years of experience in my own SaaS businesses in the past, including ToutApp and selling ToutApp to Marketo and helping Marketo turn around so they could exit to Adobe for $4.75 billion. So in this episode, I'm gonna walk you through the 3 steps I'm following. I'm gonna walk you through the key examples so you understand concretely exactly how I'm approaching this. And by the end of this, you will be able to implement these 3 steps and you'll understand what you need to do to actually scale your SaaS business to that next stage of growth. So if you're excited to dig in, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Let's dig into step number 1. When I first started this company, I knew that there was a clear market need. And I knew that there was a clear, urgent, and important problem. This is something that I got lucky enough to actually encounter because I was working with so many go-to-market experts. And based on that, I followed the exact same framework that I teach in this channel to develop a go-to-market strategy and start testing the product in the market. One of the biggest things that I did, which actually paid off, which is also something that I preach, is that instead of just wasting months building the wrong product, as we were building the product, we started taking it to market so that based on the market feedback, we were building the product that our market actually needed. This was a crucial piece of our go-to-market strategy. It got the initial customer conversations going, which ensured that this product actually made money. And just like my prior business, ToutApp, within the first week, this actually started generating revenues. So the step number 1, the principle number 1 that I followed for this was to actually flesh out a proper go-to-market strategy. Now, if you haven't seen any of my prior videos, I have over 300 episodes on this channel about a go-to-market strategy. But specifically, there are 3 key components I focused on as I built out my go-to-market strategy. The first piece that I focused on was my ICP. This was my ideal customer profile. I got very specific on in this big market opportunity, which had a tremendous number of players, big guys, small guys, medium guys, startups. What was the specific segment of the market that I would be targeting that has this problem? And this actually informed me in how we would build the product in a wildly differentiated way so that this market would pick us versus others. This ICP work was fundamental in actually competing in this market. Otherwise, it would just be yet another product that no one would even look at. The second piece of the go-to-market strategy that I worked on was the messaging. This is what I call a manifesto. Just because I had the product doesn't mean that everyone would say, yeah, I totally want to go with you guys, because this is a well-defined category. So one of the biggest things that I did was worked on the messaging to actually help them understand why they should use our product versus any other product in the market. In this manifesto, I got very specific around what are the key objectives that we have, the key transformation we have for our customers that choose our product versus any of the competing products in the market. One of the biggest reasons why I chose this specific market is because I wanted to go into a very competitive market and prove that if you actually have a 10x product and a 10x go-to-market strategy, you can actually compete and win in any targeted market, even if it's competitive, even if it's saturated. With the ICP and with the manifesto, I then ran a Broadway show. This was a consistent set of sales and marketing activities that brought my product into the market so that our ideal customers would discover it, get into the product, and start to actually convert to real revenue. One key piece over here, I also followed my own advice that I give on this channel, where in the early days, including now actually, you could try the product right away and then you could actually sign up on your own. So we actually went with a product-led experience. However, we actually made sure that we didn't ignore marketing. So even though there was a product-led experience, no one would find out about this product, especially in this crowded market, unless we did proper marketing, which is where the Broadway show came in. I made sure to actively market this product to these ideal customers, educate them on the transformation that our product brings versus anything else in the market, and get them into the product experience. Also, in the back end, over the course of the 10 months, we added an upsell layer. And the upsell layer moved them to a higher priced plan. And in that case, we actually added a salesperson so that if people had questions before they actually signed the credit card for the higher pricing, they could actually talk to sales. And this actually increased our conversion rates. This was all the key components that went into the go-to-market strategy as part of step number 1. I fleshed out the ICP, the market I was going after. I crafted the messaging and the manifesto that really differentiated us versus anyone else in this very crowded market to the specific group of people that we really wanted to serve, who were underserved in this market. And we executed on a Broadway show. That was step number 1, and those were all the key pieces that went into our go-to-market strategy. And if you're wondering, TK, how do I actually flesh out an ICP? How do I flesh out a manifesto? What goes into a Broadway show? You can check out this video. These are 6 steps to actually craft a go-to-market strategy. You don't have to go anywhere right now. I'll link to it below. You can check it out after this video, where I go much more in depth on what goes into a go-to-market strategy. And also it includes some success stories with founders I've worked with to implement those 6 steps so that they were set up for success. Now, let's go to step number 2. Once I had my go-to-market strategy, I actually started to focus for a few months on the Broadway show. And the way I did this was step number 2. I took a test and iterate type of approach. A lot of founders that I've worked with, a lot of founders that I've seen, just do their go-to-market strategy once and then they never go and revisit it. I take a very different approach, and actually every single founder that has been successful in working with me, every single founder that even watches this channel and tried to do it on their own, the ones that made it versus the ones that didn't make it were the ones that actually tested their go-to-market strategy, collected data, and iterated on it. The iteration is where all this really comes together. In fact, a lot of times people will ask me like, TK, can I look at your manifesto? One of the things you'll notice over here in this video is I'm not going into the details of the specific market or the specific product. The reality is it doesn't matter. In fact, it'll distract you because you'll be like, well, if TK did it this way, so I'm going to do it this way. The truth of the matter is every single market is different. And because every single market is different, the type of manifesto you bring into the market is different. The way you approach the channels is different. All these pieces vary, which is why when I actually work with founders in my go-to-market program, we actually talk through these pieces and we figure out the right strategy so you can actually approach the market. And then we look at the data and we iterate on it. And every manifesto, every ICP, every angle, every entry point, every strategy ends up being different, which is where the devil's in the details. To know whether you have the right go-to-market strategy, even when you have these components, let's just say you have an ICP and you have a manifesto, is to test and iterate. The way I went about this is I actually went into my existing network first. When we were at $0 in revenues, we knew that this was a clear problem that we were solving because we did the customer development. So we actually went to our existing network and said, hey, we solved this problem that you've been telling us about for months. Once that started to work, we were able to fine tune the product. We were able to take the feedback. We were able to look at the conversion experience. We were able to look at the messaging, and we iterated on the go-to-market strategy again. I went back to step 1. I iterated on the ICP again. I iterated on the messaging again, and then we ran the Broadway show again. Once we started to see promising numbers with just our friendlies, then we actually went into an organic channel to start promoting the product. The organic channel got our manifesto out there. It generated leads, it nurtured them, and then it converted them into the product so that they could actually go through the product flow and convert to actual paying users. In this phase, we went through countless iterations of our ICP, of our manifesto, of our messaging. And also because in this particular experience, we were actually product led, we actually tweaked tweaked our conversion flow based on how we were tweaking the go-to-market strategy and the messaging. In addition to that, we also tweaked the pricing over time. In fact, I also practiced what I preach. The introductory price that we started off with was at $30 a month, and then we increased the price to $89 a month, and the net profit on the conversion funnel still actually increased. We had slightly lower conversions, but we actually made more per users, 3 times as much more, which meant that it was still net profitable, so we continued to drive growth. So step number 2 that I followed in this case was to actually test, look at the data, and iterate. A couple of things that really stood out to me as I went through this experience again. It's one thing when I coach founders to actually do this. I'm on the coaching side. It was subtly different when I said, cool, this is our framework. This is what we teach founders. I'm gonna watch the training. I'm gonna implement these pieces, and I'm gonna run it. One of the interesting things on being on the driver's seat versus the coaching seat was actually being able to look at the data. Sometimes you get so in your head, you think you know all the pieces. For me as a coach, when I look at it with you, it helps me identify patterns across over 250 companies that I've already worked with, 100 active companies in the go-to-market program right now. So it helps me identify problems faster. But when I was in it, doing my own company, following the framework, and I couldn't go to TK the coach because I'm TK the coach, but also TK the operator, I was like, oh my God, like how do I actually navigate this? But what I found was to actually look at the data and look at the numbers. 2 key things that we consistently looked at was the activation rate on the leads that were coming in. When we ran our Broadway show and we were testing the messaging and we were looking at that organic traffic that was coming, we consistently look at how many people looked at the manifesto and then took the next step. They actually went into the product to try it out. That was our activation number. And we consistently iterated the messaging to drive that up. That's where the iterations came from. The second thing that we looked at was the conversion rate. Out of the people that got into the product-led experience, how many of them completed the flow and actually purchased the subscription? That was the second one, the revenue conversion. Between these 2, we were really able to iterate on the go-to-market strategy. And that allowed me almost as a compass to figure out what's working, what's not, what do we tweak, did this work better, and did this not work better? And that allowed us to test and iterate and quickly get the revenue flowing like we have done. Once I did 1 and 2, which brings us to today, now we're spinning out this company. It's going to be under its own brand. It's going to be its own company. We've incubated it. We've gotten to enough revenues. Now we are ready to scale. At 30K ARR, we know there's a clear 10X product. We know that there's a clear market. We know that we can sell this effectively, so we're spinning it all out and we're scaling the go-to-market machine. So that's where step 3 comes in. Before I go into that, let me pause here for a second. Are you starting to see the power in this? It's one thing that I created Tout App and I scaled it and I took all the learnings and I shared on this channel. It's another thing that we've worked with over now 250 companies in our go-to-market programs, with 100 companies going through it actively right now. It's another thing that I took the playbook and I got into the student seat and I looked at all the training and I applied it, and we took this company to 30K ARR. And now I'm following the same framework to actually scale it. This is the power of this framework. This is the power of this process that we follow to build scalable go-to-market machines. So if you're starting to see the power in this, can I just get a yes in the comments below? Also smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just means the world to us. We put a lot of love into these videos. And also, you gotta love this stuff. You gotta love creating these videos. You gotta love distilling these learnings and building these companies. That's why we do it. So when you smash that like button, we can actually serve more SaaS founders like you. So it means a lot when you smash that like button and share this video. So please do that. Also, if you're in this stage where you're building out your go-to-market strategy, and maybe you're in step 1, building out the go-to-market strategy, or you're in the testing phase, you don't quite know how to navigate it, and you need someone that has pattern recognition, has been there, done that, or you're in the scaling phase, which is what I'm going to tell you about next. This is exactly why I have my SaaS go-to-market coaching program. You don't have to go anywhere right now. I'll tell you more about it at the end of this episode. I'll also link to it below. Let's go to step number 3, which I'm really excited about because we're about to launch this thing and I'm super pumped about it. Step number 3 is when we scale with automation. So in step number 2, we stuck with organic channels. Organic is great because it's free and you can do it every day, and you can test and you can collect the data and you can look at the activation number, you can look at the conversion number, and you can start to understand, is this working and is this not working? So it's super powerful. But there comes a point where you know that there's product market fit, you know that customers are staying, you know that customers love the product, you know that the whole thing works. There's still so much more to do on the roadmap, got it. But it's almost your duty now to get this into your ideal customers at a bigger scale. So that's where step 3 comes in. Step 3, we're actually going to be scaling with automation. Now that we know exactly what kind of ICP works, we know what kind of manifesto works after the iterations we've gone through, we're going to actually put our Broadway show on beast mode. We're going to use leverage here. So what that means is, using the core ingredients we found in the test phase, we're now going to deploy it through other channels like ads, outbound, referrals, and even marketplaces. Except in this kind of scenario, we know when we are placing these things in a marketplace, or we're running these ads, or we're even doing outbound to our ICP, we actually can go into it with so much more conviction because we've already tested this. And in the tests and the iterations, we've shown how not only can we increase the conversion and the yield, but it actually consistently delivers. And this is why we're really excited about scaling this, using channels that may require some more capital to invest into, may have a slower payback period, but we can actually approach it with certainty because we know that we have a go-to-market strategy that's actually working and the metrics show it. And of course, as we go through this phase, it brings on new challenges, right? And so I'm not going to forget the other two steps. And it's going to be an iterative loop where we're now going to deploy each of these channels. We're going to keep iterating, and we're also going to keep revisiting the go-to-market strategy as we enter new phases of growth. So we can keep iterating on the ICP, keep iterating on the manifesto, and keep making sure that we're targeting the go-to-market strategy to the right segment of the market to consistently win new customers, retain them, and get them to refer future customers. So to recap, here are the 3 steps that I'm following, that the 100+ founders right now in my SaaS go-to-market program are actually following, the 250 SaaS founders over the course of the go-to-market program that have followed, the 12+ companies that have helped go to $1 million in ARR. Only 4% actually get to $1 million ARR. We've helped 12 companies already reach $1 million. We've had 3 companies reach $3 million. And there's so many more online to do that. This is the 3 steps that you need to follow to actually revamp your go-to-market strategy and scale your SaaS business. Step number 1, build a go-to-market strategy. Make sure you have an ICP, a manifesto, and a Broadway show. If you want to dig more into these steps, I'll link to that other video below. Number 2, you want to test and iterate. You want to make sure that you keep testing and keep iterating based on the data. And number 3, once you know it's working, then you scale with automation and with leverage with the additional channels. And now you know the exact playbook that I follow, the exact playbook that I teach, and the exact playbook that the go-to-market program members are all working through. What you may not know is, TK, how do I go about building a go-to-market strategy? What does a really great ICP look like? When I work with founders, we do a 29-point ICP analysis to make sure you have a real ICP. Everyone thinks they have an ICP until they actually work with me. And then they're like, we did not have an ICP. And oh my God, this made us do some tough decisions. And now we have more clarity than ever before. The second piece, you may not know how to build a manifesto. Every manifesto is different. The better the quality of the manifesto, the easier the sales process, the higher the conversions, the lower the customer acquisition cost. So we do a lot of work inside of the go-to-market program to actually craft a manifesto, to test it in the market, to collect the data and iterate on it as quickly as possible. You may also not know, how do I run a proper Broadway show? What channels do I use? How do I post the content? How do I test this? How do I generate the leads? What data do I look at? And then how do I scale? Also, all the way down to, because these companies have gotten to scale, who do I hire so they can take it over so I'm not doing the founder-led journey forever? This is exactly what I teach you inside of my SaaS go-to-market coaching program. Inside of this program, I help you flesh out your ideal customer profile. I help you build your manifesto, and then I help you run your Broadway show using the exact same framework that I'm doing right now, that I've done in the past, and that over 100 founders are going through right now, and over 250 founders have actually gone through the process over the course of the program. It's an incredible program. We've shared so many success stories on this channel alone on the program. So if that's you and you'd like to work together with me to actually build your go-to-market strategy, revamp it, and scale your SaaS business, just go to tkcater.com/GTM. tkcater.com/GTM. All the details about the program and how it works will be on that page. The better the fit, the better the results. And this is why I ask for a small Zoom call so that we can actually review exactly where you are with the business, what your goals are. If it sounds like we're a fit, we're off to the races right away. We get to revamp your go-to-market strategy, and we get to actually test it in the market and then scale from there. So just go to tkcater.com/GTM and all the details will be there. Also, if you got value from this video, please smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just means the world to us and my team. We put a lot of love into these videos. If you have a fellow founder, a team member, if you're part of a Slack group, a WhatsApp group that would get value from this video, please share this video with them. We want to help and serve the entire SaaS community. We want to help as many SaaS founders as possible build incredible SaaS companies. Also, I drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics truly from the trenches, having been there and done that, having doing it now, and having coaching founders and going through the process as well. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon so you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you in the next episode or inside of the SaaS and go-to-market coaching program. Follow the link below, and I'll see you inside. Take care, everybody.